What type of tea? This is Earl Grey, right here. All right, the bug we're going to work on today is where we left off last time, which is that there's some kind of dependency problem, maybe involving enums or maybe involving other things. These dependency problems happen because this programming language doesn't have header files and doesn't require you to declare things in a specific order, which is very good for the programmer. But of course, it leads to us having to handle a lot more things internal to the compiler. So this was the original one that we were seeing. And then, this involves something about main, waiting on something else, waiting on something else. But the other guys also checked in this simpler test case that should be easier to debug. And so I'm going to start with that. These may or may not be the same dependency problem. I assume that maybe they are, but we'll see. So we're going to look at that. We're going to set a breakpoint in. Well, let's see what our... Yeah, this just says, okay, we have a declaration waiting on an enum. So the enum is failing to go in flatten. So when this happens, the enum is consistently yielding on something. And then meanwhile, no other progress is being made. Let me just make sure. So looking here, okay, the actual problem is really obvious. This program is not correct because these variables have been deleted, right? This is part of some demo. So what's happening is the enum is saying this identifier isn't ready yet. So the actual problem is that we're not correctly reporting this as an undeclared identifier, right? Instead, the compiler thinks it's wedged when it's really not wedged. So what we have to do is maybe go here. Here. Okay, so it is the declaration. Let's make sure it's the right one. It's file name mini, line number 155. Yes, so it's this declaration. And when we yield, okay. So it yielded without setting the yielded on expression, which I think I realized I was doing. Yeah. I don't remember exactly where, but when we were fixing that enum thing, we made it yield in a way by just returning false. And well, let's see what happens. So we're not setting that, but we should be able to get it out of here. But this might be the enum, right? So yeah, this is the enum. So the problem is we're not giving the system enough information about why we are yielding. So we're just going to track that down, and we're going to make sure it yields, it provides that information. Yeah, so it's here. We're going to break on serial is this one. And we're going to skip past the first infer because, you know, whatever. Second infer may be the one that jams it. Oh, no. Third infer. Nope. All right, second one. Because the third one got us the error reporting. Okay. Okay, so what does sleep yield infer here do? Okay. So here we're yielding on another, so this sleep yield is a new kind of yield that got added a while back, and the error reporting isn't handling it. So what we can say is, if we're sleeping on something, so we should be sleeping on something. No. Really? So we got woke up, maybe. Let's go back here. Let's just run that again and find out why it woke up, right? So we're running the second time. We're doing this. We're sleeping on this guy. Damn it. Okay. Okay, so let's just find out why that happens. Wait, what? Maybe we're looking at a different... So that data breakpoint didn't fire. Okay, so this guy, the enums queued is BBB60, right? Expert queued is BBB60, and it's sleeping on. So that must not be who's generating the error. So it is BCBEO. That's different. This is the declaration that has the enum as its expression, I bet, right? Dependencies, target, what? Another declaration. Dude, what? Okay, hold on. Let's be clear on what this is. It's a declaration. The identifier is value. The expression is an asked enum. The expression is sleeping. Okay, right. The expression is queued, and that is sleeping on someone, right? So all right. Oh, let's just do this. Let's just do... Okay, actually, this really only makes sense down... Oh, come on, God. Frickin' terrible editor. All right. Sleeping on, right. So expr cube and all right. Let's see what happens here. Still complains. Interesting. Why didn't that work? Let's find out. So expr queued sleeping on. Expr queued sleeping on expression. All right, so now what did we get to? It's probably another declaration. Oh, I let my tea steep too long. Wait, why are we sleeping on something that has an expression? What? The hell? Is this in a different... Now I'm really confused. Integer 502. Why is it 502 instead of 501? This is really interesting. I'm sure it's a really stupid problem. Let me make some new tea water here. I can't drink over steeped tea and debug at the same time. Okay, this is really weird. So we were all sleeping on this declaration. Why is this declaration not going through if it has an integer value and all that stuff? Value high. Why is the enum sleeping on this guy? Maybe just because he has dependencies on the earlier, yeah. So he has a dependency. No, what? I'm really confused. Earl Grey tea, take 2. Hopefully I remember to get rid of that. People are talking about Java again. Yeah, with that thing, you don't have to abstract the layers of interpretations. All you really have to do is just feel into what the physical sensation is. That's all. Don't worry about any of the other stuff. Just feel down as deeply as you can into what the physical sensation is, and then the rest of the understanding the rest of the ideas will take care of itself once you successfully do that. And it's honestly not that hard. You just have to stop worrying about it. All right. Let's go back to here for a second. I want to so this guy is sleeping on that declaration. It's sleeping on value high. That's so weird. Well, we're going to go back and look at that again. Oops. Okay, no, the problem is I'm always sleeping on the last member. And it really should be this. That's really dumb. That's really dumb. All right. Sometimes, so that's probably not going to completely solve it yet, but it'll put us in a place that makes more sense at the end here. So we're going to disable that. Now we're going to go down. So it was sleeping on the last one, and I was like, well, why is that? And it's because I always made it sleep on the last one accidentally. All right, so expression is a declaration. Value high again. What? Okay, wait. This is so weird. All right. No members completed is 2. No members total is 8. So we should get here again. All right. No members completed is 7. No members total is 8. So we really are waiting on that guy. That's freaky. That's freaky that I got that wrong and that it's still right after I got it wrong. But that happens sometimes in programming. All right, so this guy, what's his deal? He's in the size pipe. He's not sleeping on anyone. He has a dependency back on the enum, right? For the size pipe. That's problematic. Why did we do that? So this guy, yeah, I don't know why he's waiting on the enum. That's weird. Right, so it's got a dependency. The target of the dependency is essentially a circular dependency, but we can't detect it as circular because it's not fully in the dependency system. Because, yeah. All right, so we're sleeping on the enum. We save the file name of this, right? Parser.cpp, line 17. Really? I think this is just old. Okay, wait. Let's, before we just blanket comment this out. So, what's going on right now is I think in this file, enum I belong to, nope, maybe it's here. Okay. This thing that we were just looking at, num members completed, where does that increment? It increments in line 567. All right, so that's this routine called include declaration in enum. It's called from here when we infer types on the declaration. So this should have happened for this guy. Because he's in the size pipe, which means he exited the infer pipe, which means we should have run infer types on him. Which means he's not the problem. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at who comes through here. Okay, here's, yeah. I have a problem now, right? So I was assuming when I did this, I was assuming that we were processing all guys in order, and because we used to set up sequential dependencies. But that's actually not true anymore. So if our num members completed is not num members total, we don't actually know who it was. That's the problem. So really, for good error reporting, I need to fix that. So here's what I'm going to do. We have these declaration flags. Oh boy. Looks like I'm using a lot of them. Not that many, though. We still got some left. I always get nervous when we run out of flags, but it's like, you know what, screw it, we'll turn it into a 64-bit flags. So we're going to make this flag. And when we do this, assert this might maybe actually fire under some conditions, but if it ever does, that'll remind me when that needs to be cleared. I don't think under current thing, no, maybe that can't ever fire. I don't know. Okay, so that sets the flag, and then here we say for if this flag is not set, see what that does. That may not yet still completely solve our problem. But we want to at least be wedged on there. Oh, it did solve our problem. I'm not, to be honest, completely sure why. Where was our other bug 9? Okay, well, it didn't solve that one. But we sort of suspected that these might be different dependency problems anyway. Why did that completely solve the problem? Okay, wait a minute. How? It like can't compile because there's no such thing as value 1. Oh no, right, these are not, okay, duh. I was thinking stupidly the whole time. I thought this was the right-hand side of some expression. My brain was misfiring. It's like, no, this automatically gets a value, that gets a value, that gets a, so this actually should compile correctly. All right. So the reason that okay, I can tell you why that didn't work. The reason why it didn't work was we were sleeping on the wrong declaration because of the order assumption thing that I just mentioned. And sleeping on the wrong declaration is fatal because the way that you get woken up is that the direct declaration that you sleep on wakes you up when it gets successfully processed. So the declaration that we were sleeping on later got successfully processed and woke everybody up who was sleeping on it, but that didn't include the enum because the enum was sleeping on the wrong thing. So all right, well, that's better, but now we need this other one. Dependency problems have been a large percentage of my engineering effort on this compiler. And they're things that most of these programming languages don't ever have to deal with, either because they're dynamic languages and they just look up symbols whenever they want, or because they're like C++ and force you to declare things in order and slow down your compilation speed tremendously and all that stuff. So that's all I'm saying. If I didn't have to do this, like, man, the compiler would have been so much further along by now. But it's an interesting problem. It's interesting to try and tackle it from a software complexity standpoint. Am I including a scheduler for multi-threading? No. So when I say yields there, those are not threaded yields. Those are like single-threaded kind of yields. They're cooperative yields. They're not. Yeah. Did I test that change on the release build before checking in? No. But I'm not that worried about that. I'm gonna fix this part of bug 9, and then once bug 9 is completely done, then I'm gonna test it. Of course, I might have broken something. It's true. We don't really, unless I recompile Sokoban and check that in, then if something breaks, it doesn't affect any downstream people because, you know, the people who actually run Sokoban during the day do not run the compiler on it, right? So there's no dependency there. Okay. So now let's just see. Of course, this is maybe so this one we didn't need that at all, actually. Should be, let's take that back out. Actually, yeah, we didn't. That was stupid. So really, the fishy thing here looks like this stuck on here, right? And is that where we are? So we want to go there. Okay. So now I have this case, it's about to print what it's stuck on, but I have a little debugging thing here, where if I set this test infer variable to true, then we'll try to infer that thing, and we should see it yield again, or whatever's causing it to be stuck. All right, so what is it, first of all? It's an operator expression, line 295. Oh, right, that one. This one. Ho, ho, ho. I remember looking specifically at that. So it's a totally different problem than the enum problem. Let's look at why it is. It's an operator expression. It's a binary operator. It's an array subscript. It recognizes it's a custom operator. The string is the brackets. The name is that. We found the declaration, so we don't need any of this. No import links. That's a little bit fishy, but it's fine. It does have a type. So we make an identifier. It's resolved. Okay, this looks bad. Oh, the polymorphism resolution is going to fail or something? I don't know. Once we start doing this much work, the probability that we yield is less likely, but maybe it's likely. Yeah, we're gonna, basically this is where we're gonna yield, which is, it's not that great to potentially yield after doing all this stuff, but let's figure out what's going on. So we're inferring types on a procedure call. So we're gonna try, this is probably where we get a false. Right, so set next statement. Let's do that again. It could be an overload, I'm sure. All right. So collect overloads. All right, well. Okay. Line 324. Okay. So this isn't inferring for some reason. So first of all, we can figure out why, and second of all, we can figure out if it's something that can legitimately happen, then we just need the error reporting to tell us what the problem is with the program. So wait, really? How is this? Oh. Okay, so we got a lambda. It has a header which has finished compiling. Okay, this bothers me. Wait. Okay, 2, 4, 8, 16 is lambda header. All right, that's fine. It hasn't been unqueued. That's OX40. So we have a header. It finished compiling. So first of all, why isn't that good enough to resolve the overload? It should be. The problem is, okay, this is an effed up problem. So here's what's happening. We have this is a really esoteric compiler detail. So we have these overloads of operator brackets that live inside main, all of them. There's like at least 3, right? So operator brackets, there's one. Operator brackets, there's another. Operator brackets, there's another. Now, there were some changes a while back to like who gets queued for into the compiler pipeline separately. And I decided, like, look, individual statements or individual declarations in a procedure don't get queued separately. So if you have something like a lambda, like main, then all these sub lambdas, this will get compiled separately. But then the binding of this name to this value, we'll just come to that linearly as we go through the procedure. Because otherwise, it was pretty confusing because some things were out of order and other things were in order, and that was a little bit bananas. Now the problem is we're trying to resolve an overload, and we're considering things that are later, we're not passing the site here, but we're doing it. So if you look at the line number of this call, right? That call is at line 295, right? So there. And if you look at this, this declaration is going to be at a later line number. No, wait, what? Oh no, the overload is going to be at a later line number. So this guy, yeah. So this is at 324. So the problem is these are in the same overload list because they're in the same scope. But the one at line 324 is after this. So first of all, it can't have its type inferred because we haven't gotten it to it yet in the procedure. But secondly, we shouldn't even be considering it as a potential overload because it's really not in the scope of things that should be callable here. I don't think. I mean, it's a little bit weird because you could say, well, in this language, generally there isn't order of declaration, so you should just let the lambdas live anywhere. And maybe they can live at the bottom of the procedure, and maybe that's true, except it does mess with the idea that procedure bodies are ordered and global scopes are declarative. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Is anyone following this closely enough to understand what I'm talking about? Yeah, the for loop is just, it's a macro combined with a stupid lambda thing in C++. It's annoying. It's not as good as a real for loop would be. So I have at least two potential solutions. Three potential solutions. One, I revert back to scheduling declarations that are attached to lambdas independently of the body that they live in. I don't like that. That's complicated. Solution two would be change the semantics of the language to not let you call things that are later in the same scope. We could do that, but I don't know if I want to go down the road of ordered dependency for stuff like that. Like, it's a little more functional languagey to not have that declaration dependence. And in fact, in general, this language is about independence of order of declaration. So I don't necessarily want to do that, although it could cause confusion, like maybe you have some overloads and you're getting a different one than you thought because the last one is buried like a trick down at the end of the procedure body and you're looking above where you are or something. So that's a consideration. I'm not sure it matters that much. The third thing we can do is in the case of a declaration attached to a lambda, we can just spot fix it with a little hack. And well, that's not, I'm thinking of some esoteric cases in which that won't work very well. I don't know. Let me see. Like you could declare an identifier to be constant to another identifier, to be constant to another identifier, to be constant to a lambda. And so like I'd have to go through all that. And those will not be resolved. This is annoying. This is annoying. Another way to make this fix more robust would be to front load, in terms of type resolution, all the constant declarations within a particular scope. I think that works. I'm not sure I like the complexity of that. Or the runtime cost. I don't know. See, a lot of people are saying keep function bodies ordered, and I see that. You might want to do that. It's just, it is inconsistent with the way the language is right now. That's all. And really the main motivation, I think, would be for me to be lazy and not have to try to solve this problem. Although that does avoid some compiler complexity, and anytime you can keep complexity down, that's a little bit warranted. I mean, the question is just, how confusing would it be? I mean, procedure bodies are in a weird, they're in a weird limbo between ordered and unordered. Okay, you know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to make this a hard error if this case happens. I'm going to make it a hard error. And we'll see if we don't like that as a language semantic. And we'll see, like sometimes I just like to make an arbitrary decision and see how it goes. Because sometimes these decisions are too weighted by presumptions. And sometimes I just like to see how things are. So where even was that? Mix into overloads. So I'm going to add a site to this. Right, and so we need that here, and we need that here, and we need that here. I'm actually going to put that there because it's sort of an input parameter as opposed to an output parameter. Collect overloads. Is that it? Oh no. Wait. Yeah, okay. And then because this is stupid C++, we have to do that all here too. Mix single declaration into overloads. there was a third, right, mix into C++, gosh, wait, no, I have that. Mix into overloads, declaration int, site. Mix into overloads, declaration outs. Gee, I wonder why I don't like C++. All right. So that's not going to do anything yet. But now that we have that information, I can use it. I can say, I'm trying to, I thought I had some A's before B. A is earlier than B. Earlier than, no. A is earlier than B. All right. If A is earlier than B, cite compared to it report error, cite attempt to call a procedure that has overloads that are later in the scope than the call itself. Here is the overload that is declared too late. Here is the earliest. Okay. Oh, an asked is not an what? Okay. We need this to be an expression. This is going to be super painful. Fucking C++. This language is a pile of garbage. Pile of garbage. Pile of garbage. All right, so resolve potential overloads. So now we're going to have the problem that we're trying to call this. Oh, maybe not. Okay, we already had an expression, I guess. That was not as bad as I thought. All right. Still didn't work. Huh. All right. So what's going to happen is maybe these are flattened differently. I don't know. The site is flattened within null. What? Oh, is this a dummy procedure call? What? 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 Is this a dummy procedure call? What is going on? We're making... Okay. Yay. Someone in the stream, make sure I comment that before check-in. If, hey, attempt to call a procedure that has overloads that are later than the scope than the call itself. Okay, so the deal is so that would have worked by default if that was a regular procedure call, but it was an operator overload procedure call, which means that the node in the syntax tree was not a call node originally, it was a operator node. So we create a call node because that's what the compiler wants in order to do procedure call stuff with. And when we create that call node, we copy the file and line number onto it, which is what you usually need for error messages. But checking whether something is before something else doesn't use file and line number, although maybe it should, because this other thing has been a pain in the butt. But really what I thought about is like, look, when we flatten things out, we get a canonical ordering that is guaranteed to be correct, notwithstanding any kind of weird source text file issues. So I did it that way. It seemed more robust, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't, I don't know. So I had to copy that over. So now I have to, okay. That deserves at least, whoops, 4 pastes. Mixed into overloads. Uses A is greater than B, which needs flattened star. So we need to copy these and the operator. But this is misleading if we want to use flattened star for debugging, since the call node does not actually exist in that thread. But I don't think this has any user-facing consequences, but who knows? All right. That makes me feel so much better. Just putting that around the comment. Okay, so bug 9, mini. Bug 10 still works. Sokobon still works, maybe. Let's run it. Hey, all right. Well, so then what's going to happen is I'm going to see how it goes to have that particular thing be semantically illegal, and if we feel like it's worth making it legal, we can take up the corresponding compiler complexity to make that happen. You'll note that I compiled Sokobon just fine with that, so, and that's a pretty big program. So nothing that uses in the standard library or in the main program itself tried to do the thing that I just made illegal. So maybe it's fine having it be illegal. I don't know. Any questions about what just happened? Creating virtual AST nodes does seem iffy, but all AST nodes are virtual in the first place. I mean, it's not really iffy. So most compilers these days do create AST nodes that don't correspond to the input program because, you know, they have this desugaring process of turning some things into other things. I don't actually usually do that because for metaprogramming purposes, I don't want to give you, the user, nodes that don't make sense to you. So I avoid doing that. Although now I kind of have this substitution tag on things, so maybe I could do it more and just stick it in the substitution. But anyway, no, because even then you wouldn't have the types. Anyway, there's good reasons for me not to rely on desugaring the way that many compilers do, right? I mean, there's this philosophy that like, oh, you could have a complex syntax, but then you desugar that into a simpler syntax, and it reduces complexity of the rest of your compiler, which I'm not sure I totally buy. It's true a little bit, though. It is true a little bit. But for metaprogramming reasons, I don't do that at all. So I actually do it much less than a normal compiler would, but in this case, I do it, although it's true that a reasonable approach might be not to do that, but to have an interim data structure passed to those routines that does not represent a tree node. Like that might be a totally fine solution. In fact, I'll note that. A better solution is slightly messy instead less Actually, as I think about that a little more, I'm not sure I like the idea, but it's a possibility. Oh, bug 9 has a misc? Yeah, I'm not sure why that's in there. Maybe it was having a different problem before we fixed these things. So this is a legit error. This is just that we don't say .strict anymore. No program entry point, right? So there's no main. Yeah. So that's compiling as expected. All right, that might be it for this stream. Maybe it's time for me to go exercise or something. It's always good to... That one was confusing at the beginning, but we pulled it together and figured it out, and now it's all good. So there's bug 11. Really? Okay, well, let's look at that right now, but I'm gonna end the stream, and maybe we'll do that next time. Oh, I didn't really run the release compiler on Sokoban either, but so we gotta do that. Oh boy. Oh boy, okay. Interp line 1686. That's an interesting one. Compiler get data segment. Get dirty data segment. I'm not sure that yeah, that might be an easy one to deal with. It's something to do with compile time code. So this one has like some run directives in it and stuff. So let's go look at it. Yeah, so it runs main, and main does a bunch of things. Wow. Meta-X revert, buffer with coding system, UTF-8. All right, better. It was printing all these special characters all messed up. Yeah, I think this one's actually not going to be hard to deal with. I just want to do that next time. Because I feel like I'm in a good spot for a break. Oh yeah, so release compiler on Sokoban. And we cross our fingers that that works, because if that doesn't, then there's some hairy problem. Maybe next time I'll do bug 11 and then force myself to remove some warnings. I'll just pick some random warnings and just start wailing on them. All right, well, it compiled. It ran, all right. So that's good. Okay, thanks everybody for stopping by. I don't know when the next stream will be. It might be tonight. It might be... I'm going to be traveling over the weekend, so we'll see if I do one over the weekend or on Monday or something. Tuesday. See you later.